This is a basic video to discuss puts and calls. Let's get started. Okay, defining puts and calls. Options, i.e. puts and calls, are defined by several elements, including the underlying, strike price, the series, and of course, if it's a put or a call. The underlying is basically the stock on which the option trades. For example, IBM is the underlying for IBM options. The strike price is the stock price at which the option buyer can purchase for calls or sell for puts the underlying stock. And series is the expiration month or the expiration period for the option. And this is usually for monthly options. This is the Saturday following the third Friday of each month. And of course, weeklies expire on a weekly basis and quarterlies on a quarterly basis. Here are a few examples. TBT is the underlying. This is the June expiration 25 strike call. The next example, AXP is the underlying, American Express. September is the expiration. This is the 60 strike put. Very simple. Okay, what differentiates puts and calls? A put option is the option to sell the underlying stock at the strike price until expiration. It's basically you're putting your stock to someone else. A call option is the option to buy the underlying stock at the strike price until expiration. So basically you're calling the shares away from someone else. Very simple. Okay, what is the premium? The premium is the dollar amount the option buyer pays or the option seller receives for the option. Example, TBT, this is another ticker. The TBT July expiration 20 strike calls are currently 1.25 bid, 130 ask. What does that mean? Well, if we buy 10 contracts, that'd be 10, the number of contracts, times the multiplier, which is 100, times the premium, which is 1.30, and that would be $1,300, which we would buy, therefore it is a debit. If we decide to sell 20 contracts, we would sell be 20, and parentheses means it's the negative we're selling, times the multiplier, times the premium, 1.25, and that'd be a $2,500 credit. Now the multiplier is what each one single option is worth. Basically, it is worth 100 shares, and this will usually always be the multiplier except listed by your broker. There are basically four fundamental option positions. One can be a put buyer or a put seller. Likewise, one can be a call buyer or a call seller. If you understand each of how these work, you can basically understand any option position, no matter how complex. It's very important to understand each one individually. Okay, why be a put buyer? Well, several reasons why you'd want to be a put buyer. One is to speculate. Maybe you're bearish on a stock. You think the stock's going to drop, but you also want limited risk rather than just shorting the stock outright. So you'd be a put buyer in that case. Another reason is leverage. Options are leveraged instruments. One option equals 100 shares usually. And basically you can create a synthetic short position, a leveraged one. So say for example you bought deep in the money puts. That's almost equivalent to shorting outright the shares, but it's requiring less capital down because it's a long position. And the final reason is you can hedge maybe a long stock position. Say you own American Express stock and you're worried about the market correcting or the shares selling off. You could actually be a put buyer to hedge that long stock position. Why be a put seller? One is to speculate or to produce income. Say you're neutral to bullish on a stock. You think the stock's going to stay around the same or possibly go up. That may be a good candidate to sell puts against. Alternatively, maybe you want to acquire a stock at a lower cost basis. Say, for example, you're interested in a stock at $20 a share, but you don't want to buy the stock. So you maybe, if you want it, you could possibly sell puts against it and get that stock cheaper as long as stock doesn't drop past the amount of the premium. So that's actually a good strategy. Why be a call buyer? One reason is to speculate. Say you're bullish on the stock, you think it's going to go up, but you don't want to risk too much capital. In that situation, it may be a good idea to be a call buyer. Alternatively, you'd want to do this for leverage. Perhaps you want to create a synthetic long position. So you don't want to put too much capital in buying the shares. So you want to buy, for example, 5,000 shares for $20 stock. That's a $100,000 position. Alternatively, to do that, you could buy some deep in the money calls and put down substantially less capital. That would be the use of leverage for a call buyer. Why be a call seller? One is to speculate and produce income. Say you're bearish or neutral on a stock. You think it's going to stay, the stock's going to stay the same or perhaps go down a bit. You could sell calls and generate income. Obviously, another reason is just generating income against a long stock position, i.e. a covered call. This is a very good strategy. Basically, you're just selling calls against a long stock position. So that's the overview of puts and calls. It's a basic overview, but you should get to know it because it's very important to understanding more complex positions.